Now, I'm sure that you've all been there before. The topic of personality tests come up during a dinner or during a hangout. Everything from the Myers-Briggs to love languages to, heck, Harry Potter house tests. And it's a great way to break the ice, so to speak. I mean, it's a great way to try to discover in a ballpark manner who this person is and what they're all about. But if we're being honest, sometimes those tests, we take them in terms of what we want to be perceived as. But what I found throughout my trip to Alaska was that I think there are two ways that we can distinguish people. Now, disclaimer, I'm not saying that this was a field test. I'm not saying that this was a clinical psychology test. It was nothing of the sort. It was just my own personal observation. And the way that I perceived individuals, it was one or the other. It was people who know and people who don't. Now we can take that and we can apply that to all sorts of areas of expertise and subject matter. But what I mean by that is, in terms of our conversation today, is people who know and act upon this idea, this, say, truth, that there is a person behind the mask or the title of client, patient, or student. And then those who either don't know or choose not to acknowledge the person behind said titles.
So the first example is the example with the nurses and the doctors that took care of my dad when he had the surgery. It was a clear divide between the two types of nurses. The first kind of nurse was the rambunctious, dare I say, the outgoing, yet forgetful, almost dismissive characteristics. So for instance, there was a nurse that would joke around with my dad, making sure that my dad is quote unquote comfortable, but then would forget to plug in his outlet for his IV. Instrumental things like that. And so, for instance, when my dad, who has a little bit of an accent when he speaks English, instead of trying to figure out and trying to understand what my dad is saying, even understanding some of the expressions that my dad is trying to use, this nurse would just completely dismiss whatever my dad was trying to say. He didn't understand, nor did he want to understand. He was too busy acting like a nurse. He was too busy, quote unquote, doing his job. Now, for those of us who hear this, you might be thinking, well, what's the bad thing about doing the job? The problem is this: when we as teachers, as nurses, as doctors, as lawyers, when we treat our students, our patients, our clients, not as people, but as a way to get paid, it shows in the actions. The second kind of nurse is the kind of nurse that will sit down, take the time to explain to my dad, or at least try to explain to my dad, the situation, the experiences, the stimulus that my dad is receiving. My dad had a relatively smooth surgery, but when he came out of surgery, it was a relative shock. Now, that's lightly putting it, I understand that. But nonetheless, that's what it was. So then this kind of nurse would listen to what my dad is trying to say and then explain to him that what he's going through is absolutely normal and that there is no reason for concern and that he should not be worried and that he should be comfortable, that he should only be worried about getting better and healing and recovering. So there was one nurse who was just absolutely superb. She was the first nurse that we met when we got checked in. And she would explain to my dad, this is what's gonna happen, this is how you're gonna feel after, this is how long you're gonna stay in the ICU, this is how long you're gonna stay in the recovery wing of the hospital. And she would make sure that we had all our questions answered. She saw the person in us, not the patient and the son. But she would make sure that we understood the gravity of the surgery, how big a surgery it actually is. Fast forward a couple hours and we meet the surgeon that's supposed to take care of my dad in the OR. And he is as cool as can be. And to him, it is just another day, another surgery. He's done this many times before. There is not a hint of hesitation in his voice. But the manner, the demeanor in which they handle my dad and communicate with my dad is very similar. Calm, composed, and at the end of it all, understanding that my dad is a person, understanding that I am a person. Before the son, before the patient, before the father, we're people. Now, I get it. We might be tempted to throw this at the feet of experience, but I don't think it's just experience. I think there's something deeper, and that is the human aspect. So a couple days ago, the seniors and I had to figure out college applications. We had to finish up their verification, and we had a hiccup. And we thought that we were kind of stuck because we had to go through ID.me to verify their identity in order for us to continue the process of registration. And so I was at the hospital, and I called Mount SAC because I figured that's the best way to figure this out. And so when I called Mount SAC, I spoke with the seasoned registrar office personnel, and she was saying she had no idea. She didn't know, and that we'd have to contact the IT department. So that's what we did. I got the phone number for the IT department, and then I contacted IT. At that moment in time, the IT person said, "Hey man, I don't know. You have to contact the California Community College portal system in total." I'm like, okay, so how do I do that? And so I contacted them, gave them all the information. They came out and said, "We can't. That's not something that we do." And the entire thing is, we're just trying to get verified. It's not a hard thing. And so they told me that I had to go and contact ID.me personally. They don't have a phone number. So I had to go through chat, and that chat took 40 minutes. And I was waiting in the queue, and I decided, you know what, while I'm waiting in the queue, let's go and contact Mount SAC again, hoping that I'll get a different answer. So I contacted Mount SAC's registrar office, the admissions office, the same number, and I gave them the same explanation, but this time a student worker picked up. And I told her the situation, and she said, "Oh, all you have to do is just decline the verification." And I'm thinking to myself, wait, what? What do you mean decline the verification? So yeah, it's not a mandatory thing that you have to do this. And so I told her, like, okay, well, I did see that the decline verification option was there. I just didn't want to mess anything up. I didn't want the students to go ahead and redo something, or, worse yet, get their entire account erased. So I told her that's what I was thinking. And she said, "No, that's not what's gonna happen. All you have to do is decline the verification. It's gonna take you to another page, verify the information, and then it go back to the college portal, and then you can continue your application to register for the fall 2026 semester." It was a seasoned personnel who told me she didn't know. I was not a valuable individual to her. To her, I was just someone that had trouble, and she didn't know the answer. So the best thing to do is to send me off somewhere. Maybe that was the best thing that she could do at the time. I got the feeling that she had better things to do. And I couldn't help but think about the differences between people. And I know that there are plenty of differences, but at the end of the day, in this current state that I'm in, my analysis is that there are two kinds of people. One is they look beyond the problem, they look beyond the number, they look beyond the queue, and they treat the person for what they are, a person. And then there's the other individual that cannot get past object level thinking. They cannot get past this idea, this notion, this almost self-imposed position that they hold, that they have a job to do. And I was talking to my wife a couple days ago, and she was saying, well, some people get jaded, They get jaded over the number of patients they have to see. The administration's office, the registrar's office, that personnel, imagine how many new freshmen they have to answer to, how many questions they must get on a daily basis. And here's the thing, here's my position on that. Yes, they might get jaded, but we sometimes fool ourselves into thinking that the responsibility is to get jaded. Oh yeah, it just comes with the job. No. The responsibility is not to get jaded. It's to know that you can get jaded and to do everything in your power to not be jaded. You have to know what your position is. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that. They let the job, they let the position, they let the circumstances dictate their response. And at the end of the day, the person that it hurts the most is the person that's behind the mask of a nurse, a doctor, or an administrative personnel at a college or university.
So I don't want to be misunderstood though. The whole point of today's video is not to bash or demean those individuals who, choose not to acknowledge the person behind the mask. And to a certain degree, it's completely understandable. But what I am saying is this: for those of us who choose to acknowledge the person behind the mask, I think we should continue to do so. I think we should double down on treating the person and not just the client or the patient or the student. I think that it's important for us to show honor and dignity. Two words that I think nowadays are missing in even everyday life. When we hold the door for another individual that we don't know, or we say please and thank you, or we look at someone in the eye when we're speaking with them, or when we have a certain demeanor about ourselves that is more welcoming than aggressive. And today's reflection is just an encouragement to you guys, because now you know, if you chose not to treat individuals like people, then maybe you ought to try. For those of us who claim to have treated individuals like people, our students, our patients, our clients, maybe we take a step back and then ask ourselves, did we truly go to that extent? I know, and I am not saying that we ought to treat our family and friends the same way that we treat strangers, or vice versa rather. But what I am saying is, the knowledge that we have of this person does not equate them to being a person, right? We are not God. We aren't some supernatural being that is able to give purpose to another person. So what that means is, the knowledge that we have of this individual does not give them the value as a person. That value is already instated in that person since creation. So if that's the case, then every individual that we come across, we should treat them with a certain level of dignity and honor. Maybe not the same amount as our friends and our family and those who have gone through the fire with us, who we have solidified bonds with. And I think if we strive to do that, then the world will slowly but surely become a better place. That's it for today. And hopefully this reflection has been worthwhile. If not, I hope that you enjoyed some of the footage in between. With that said, I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.